So to perfectly illustrate the topic of this video, I want to share a story about my boss, Georgina, right? If there was somebody that I met that exemplified everything that we're going to talk about in this video, it's actually her. Because she wasn't the boss, but for months, I was under the impression that she was actually the main boss as to where I worked at. Now, mind you, it's because of my lack of social skills during that time, right? Even to this day, but also because of her demeanor. Her demeanor was such, it demanded respect. And I've never met anyone like that to this day. The person who I thought was my boss hired me, right? And she was this like spiritual, freaking you see her at Oaxaca Beach type of energy, right? She was like this hippie. Oh Lord, Alexis, oh you're so sweet. Oh, you know that type of therapy, oh, right? And so she was this like, let's all love each other. Georgina, on the other hand, if I had to describe how she was more like straight to business type of person. Okay, straight to business. She smiled, but not that much. She didn't smile for no reason. Her voice was more serious. She reminded me of Devil Wears Prada, Miranda Priestley, right? She reminded me of Miranda Priestley. Her energy, right? She rarely smiled, but the difference was is that she actually smiled. She was actually a very friendly lady, but she was only friendly towards those that didn't piss her off. So when we would go to the meetings, we would have these unnecessary meetings, right? And you could tell who people respected more because when she spoke, everyone was quiet. When she smiled, everyone smiled. When she didn't smile, nobody smiled. She had an energy about her that people just followed her because they wanted her validation. And I remember being around her, and I remember that I couldn't make her laugh that much. My coworker could, right? So I would try to make her laugh, and I remember the sensation that gave me was a desire for her smile, a desire for her validation. Compared to my main boss versus Georgina, I was more scared of pissing off Georgina more than Shalia. Because for one, Shalia, she was more of a, like, she would forgive you. Georgina, when you pissed her off, she wouldn't smile like Shalia. Georgina would just look at you like, with a serious face. One time we were doing a meeting for a kid who was, misbehaving in school. And we went to their house and they were supposed to sign a paper. Well, guess what? Guess who had to have the paper for them to sign? I had. And guess what happened? She was like, Alexis, do you have the papers we're supposed to sign? And I was like, sure. I'm looking through. And she's like, and I'm like, she was like, Alexis, do you have them? And I'm like, oh, Georgina, I don't have it. She was like, okay, we'll be back. And then we just went to the car, didn't say a word. She didn't say a word. And I was just like, we went into the office. She was like, go get your papers. And I'm like, all right, we got the papers. We got in the car. Didn't say a word. We came back. She's like, hey guys, here's a paper. 2 weeks later, no, I think it was like a month later, I got fired, right? And so the whole energy about her, even though I was a dumbass with my responsibilities, I had to respect her. There was something about her. And what she did is the things that we're going to talk about today. Because, but mind you, she had a limp, right? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying like she had a cane. Like the respect came because of her aura, everything about her. And these are the things that she possesses. So the first thing is her appearance. And it wasn't that she was walking around with a fucking knife all the time, right? It was that you have to have an intimidating aura. If you look like a fucking cupcake, like you can easily get manipulated, like you look like the embodiment of the color pink, that appearance is going to make people think, you know what, maybe she is easily manipulated. Maybe she's somebody who's easier manipulated. And that's why you got to have an aura of power. How do you do that? Well, you got to have an intimidating aura. So in the book, The 33 Strategies of War, chapter 10, it talks about how to create an intimidating aura. And it goes like this. The best way to fight off aggressors is to keep them from attacking you in the first place. To accomplish this, you must create the impression of being more powerful or crazy than you are. Build up a reputation. You're a little crazy. Fighting you is not worth it. You take your enemies with you when you lose. Create this reputation and make it credible with a few impressively violent acts. Uncertainty is something better than overt threat, where they don't know how crazy you are. It's almost like, in The Godfather, where they were trying to intimidate the people who were trying to kill Vito Corleone, right? they acted like they had the gun. Now, they could have shown the gun, but acting like you're hiding the gun is actually more threatening, right? Because it creates uncertainty. Uncertainty is better than over a threat. If your opponents are never sure what messing with you will cost, they will not want to find out. Play on people's natural fears and anxieties to make them think twice. So in this case, the threatening presence that she had was her nonverbal cues, was her seriousness, right? So the first thing that you want to do is learn to not smile so much because it reduces your potential threat. Being someone who smiles a lot, you're telling people I'm not threatening, right? You could do that on a date, right? And even on a date, you don't want to smile so much on the first date, right? So don't smile so much. Lower your nonverbal cues. Don't like that, like all the exaggeration. Hey, I'm a very expressive person. Fuck that shit. Stop it with the expression. If you notice anyone who's intimidating, they have their nonverbal cues are very low. Learn to speak in a downward tone. Hello there. Hey, Melissa. How's it going? Right? Learn to speak in a downward tone. How? Almost like you're Tyrone, the personal trainer. Notice how I'm talking down. Yeah, that's right, people, right? Right? In a downward type of tone. Talking upward communicates weakness, right? Learn to make strong eye contact. When you're in a situation where you need to show strength, looking away, for all of my neurodivergent followers, looking away shows weakness. Make strong eye contact. Stop smiling and learn to develop a serious face. Georgina had this about her. And the one thing she had about her is that she was willing to show negative emotion. When I annoyed the shit out of her, which was a lot of the time, right? I annoyed the living shit out of her. She would show it in her face. She was like, "The Lexus, you forgot that note," right? She was willing to show that I annoyed the shit out of her, right? And that intimidated me. As opposed to Shalia, she was always happy. Even when I pissed her off, she was always happy. Right. So learn to develop a serious face when you're around people. And if you're a people pleaser, that's actually the last thing you want to do. But that's actually something you want to do. Now, once you have the appearance of having an intimidating presence, now you got to learn to have your warnings. Your warnings is you got to communicate people your standard. So the next thing you want to do is communicate your boundaries through strength, not through weakness, right? You have peace through strength, not through weakness. So you got to have the things that you're willing to accept and not accept. So if somebody calls you names, for example, or somebody disrespects you, you got to know exactly what type of punishment comes with that. Maybe the punishment is you verbally tell them, "Hey, don't talk to me like that," and you tell them in a way that's like, "Don't talk to me like that." Now, hey, can you not talk to me like that? For example, I remember when I was in art school, we were drinking and we were all. It was a Friday night. We were all drinking together, and we found a photo of one of our classmates. He was in a dress, like some random girl on Tinder. One of my friends were literally swiping and literally saw a random photo of a party. And you'll see our classmates, he was dressed up as a girl. Now, what we didn't know is that in his past life, he was into that. Nothing wrong with that, but we were just shocked. We were like, what the fuck? Like, what are the chances that you find a random person on Instagram who has a photo, on Tinder, who has a photo in the background of one of my classmates in a random city in Dakota. We were New York City like that, right? So we were looking at it. We were laughing because we were like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. We would never expect this. And mind you, we were not laughing at him. We were all drunk. But one of his friends was there. And he was like, "Hey, I don't like the way you guys are talking about my friend like that." He was serious. He was like, I don't like it because he's not here. You guys are talking like that. I think that's very disrespectful. And the guy who showed the photo, because there was one guy who showed the photo, he was like, "My fault, I didn't mean that." But then he was like, "But look at the way you guys are laughing." And everything got cold in the room. We were like, "Oh, shit." But I'll tell you one thing. After that day, I respected that guy. I respected him because I'm like, okay, the way that he did that, he wasn't like, "Hey guys, can you guys stop talking about my friend?" He was like, "Yo, can you guys stop talking about him? Because it's disrespectful the way you guys are doing this." And that to me earned my respect. He earned my respect with that. And a big portion was how he said it. He wasn't just saying it in a happy way. And the way that he punished us was through his showing his anger, but not anger, almost like a silent anger, which I'm going to talk about how to punish people. So know your do's and don'ts. What are the things you're willing to accept and willing to ignore? And what are the things that you're willing to tell someone not to do? And then what are the things that you're willing to walk away from people? Once you have that, you have the proper arsenal to demand respect from people. Now, the next thing is that you got to learn to warn people like he did. He warned us. And I can promise you, if we didn't stop, that dude would have gotten up and gotten in our face. That's without a shadow of a doubt. right? And if he would have done that, he was totally in the right. So warn people. You gotta understand, like, for respect comes with threats of violence. Now, violence doesn't mean like fucking stone cold stunnering them, right? No, violence means showing aggression in your voice, facial expression, and even in your action. Not touching them, but leaving them, right? So once you communicate your boundaries and people know your boundaries, now there are people who don't give a fuck and will cross your boundaries. So it comes into the third step, punishing disrespect, right? And how do you punish it? You punish it with silence and dignity. You know how people say, I'm not even going to dignify that with a response? Silence is the best way to communicate your boundaries. So that means you don't warn them no more. Now you take active action. You don't speak, you just take action. They fucked up, you don't say nothing. You start packing up, for example. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? You just start packing up and you leave. I already told you I don't like what you did. Now, I'm not me telling you again after the third time you broke my boundaries, me telling you that not to do that will make you lose respect for me. So now the next thing I have to do is moonwalk my ass back. And the reason why I say you punish them in silence is because by you getting angry and raising your voice, they lose respect for you. It shows that you truly have no control. So you punish disrespect with appropriate punishment. Appropriate. The punishment must fit the crime. You can't go silent mode on someone for being 30 minutes late on a date. Punishment has to fit the crime. So if they disrespected you, they were 30 minutes late, then you just say, hey, you gotta be on time next time. Like you're on a date with someone, you gotta be on time with that. Like the one time this girl, I went on a first date with her, it was a warning because she got my number, first of all. She came up to Father Alex. I did not ask for this. And she gave me her Instagram and I messaged her. Took her 3 days to respond. I was like, hey, took you 3 days. Are you down to hang out or are you just not? Are you really interested? Because if you're not interested, let me know. She was like, no, don't worry. I want to see you. And I told her clearly. I was like, hey, look, I'm down to see you, but if it's gonna take you 3 days to respond to me, oh, sorry, people. I told her, I'm down to see you, but if it's gonna take you 3 days to respond to me consistently, this might not work out, because I like people who respond on time. And then she was like, don't worry. I was like, okay. We went on a date. 20 minutes later, she hasn't arrived. I'm like, hey, where are you? She's like, I'm on my way. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, okay. She arrived 45 minutes late. And I told her, I was like, hey, she came up to me. She was like, hey. And I was like, I gave that smile like, you motherfucker. I was like, hey, before we go out right now, are you sure you still want to do this? Because you were 45 minutes late. You took 3 days to respond. Like, I just don't want to waste my time. And I'll be honest with you, I just don't want to get disappointed because I do like you, but these things make me feel bad. She was like, don't worry, this won't happen. I was like, okay, look, I'll go out with you, but you gotta understand, 45 minutes late and taking 3 days to respond. If it happens again, we may not see each other. And I'm not doing it because I'm being mean. I just like people who respond on time. She was like, sure. Okay. We hung out. She was like, I think it was a Wednesday. She was like, hey, let's hang out on Saturday. I was like, cool. I'll text you. I texted her. No response. Second day, no response. Third day, she responds. And I'm like, hey. She was like, I'm so sorry. It's just a bad habit. I'm like, look, I understand it's a bad habit, but you keep saying you're going to do things and not do it. She was like, okay, I'll do it. I texted her. I think it was Thursday. I think it was a Friday. We were supposed to meet on the Sunday. It was Friday. She responded after taking 2 days. And then she responds Saturday night. So she took another whole day to respond. And I was like, hey, listen, my love, it's okay. We don't have to go out. Don't worry about it. She was like, I want to go out. I was like, no, listen to me. It's not that I don't want to, but I just don't. I like people who respond on time. And I get that's how you are, but we're not compatible. And I blocked her, right? And so you gotta understand, some people have toxic habits. Whether or not she was doing it on purpose is not the point, right? The point is that it just didn't make me feel good. And so these are my boundaries. To her, it may not be a big deal, but to me, it is a big deal. To her, it may not be a big deal, and I get it, but to me, it is a big deal. So it's kind of like my feelings matter too, and so this might not work out, right? And my silence was in me just seeing whether or not she was going to do it again. And when she did it again, I didn't tell her, hey, I didn't like it. After she did it the third time, I just left because I knew she wasn't going to change. A lot of people use the punishment as a way to change it. We use punishment just to communicate to you, this is how I like my relationships. And if you don't like it this way, then this might not work out between the two, me and you. And if you notice, the way I did it is that each time she did that, I escalated it. I told her not to do it. She did it again. I told her not to do it again. And then once she did it again, then I started just not responding anymore. And to the point where I blocked her because I'm like, okay, I don't know if she's doing it on purpose, but I find it disrespectful and I don't want to be disrespected. And which comes down to the next point. You walk away. There comes a point, you're just repeating yourself and sounding stupid. You got to walk away. At this point, you have to walk away. It shows that they don't want to respect you. Like that girl, Whether or not she was doing it on purpose, the point is that her actions, her behavior just wasn't gonna respect. And I don't care how high, because Lord have mercy, you are. I value myself. I value feeling good about myself more than being with you. Because my experience of dealing with you is kind of annoying, and I don't like making me felt feeling that way. This relationship is pointless, and it's best to leave. No matter how you feel about them, it's best to leave. No matter how hot they are, it's best to leave. No matter how golden that Dizzy is, it's best to leave. You know, it's just that simple. Now, look, if you guys want to apply strategies like this, I have a course. It's called The Feminine Woman. And in that course, I have a section where I talk about specifically this, where I talk about how to earn respect, how to be feminine and earn respect. This course is a course that I made for women who want to be able to be feminine and at the same time gain respect, who want to establish a foundation of respect anywhere they go. It's a course where I teach you how to bring your feminine energy and not let it bring you disrespect, because that's what happens a lot. A lot of women act feminine, but then they realize they don't gain the respect of the men. But then they try to be masculine, but then they realize they stop respecting the men. Then they realize the men don't treat them as feminine anymore, right? So it's a delicate balance. So if you want to be that woman who's feminine and still earn people's respect, you got to check out that course, The Feminine Woman. It's a course that I created that teaches you guys how to set and achieve goals, how to manifest, the manifestation technique that I use, how to maintain beauty as you age through life. And beauty isn't an external thing. Beauty is an internal thing, right? How to embrace the masculine energy of you, how to think like a man and still be a woman, right? And the beauty about this course is that if you do this, you will have a charismatic, feminine, and yet masculine aura that draws people to you. People will want to hire you. Men will want to be friends with you. Women will want to be friends with you. It's almost like a complete balancing act. All right. So you could purchase that course. It's a 5-week course by clicking on the description down below. You can have it forever, and you can have a 30-day money back guarantee, people. Yep. That's the course. Feminine Woman. Click on the description down below, or else I'm closing the channel. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.